What's up, everyone? This is Tyler with Recess, and this is our first episode of a show we're going to be calling The Goods. This is my co-host, Brandon Napper from Philadelphia.
What's up, y'all?
And this is our first guest, Drew Tetz. Not Tetz, Tetz. T-A-T-E-S, but it's spelled T-E-T-Z. Drew and I have been, I don't want to say best friends for 15 years. Best friends definitely for the better part of a decade and or longer, but have known each other, been acquainted for 15 plus years now, and have done a myriad of projects together, from yo-yo stuff, clothing. I think that's really it that we've done together. But I have a whole list of stuff we're going to talk to Drew about, and his portfolio is definitely very deep and extensive. And that's one of the things I want to talk to him about, all of his art projects, how they relate to yo-yoing, and all that kind of awesome stuff. So welcome, Drew, to The Goods.
Thank you. What's up, man?
Yeah, excited to be here. Thanks,
How are
guys.
you?
Begin.
That was a cheers from everyone.
Begin.
And I almost said Andrew. Brandon isn't 21 though, so he can't drink.
Yeah, one more year. Probably still not going to drink though.
That's good.
Yeah, it's good.
That's good. I've definitely chilled out on drinking in later years. Drew's seen me a couple times at my worst. One time I was really drunk and Drew was feeding me chicken.
Yeah, I was holding your beer under my chin.
There's a
and
great
holding
photo.
you up while I was feeding you chicken tender like a baby.
So
Man, how like...
it was in Florida. You know how they talk about Florida man. That night I was Florida man. So The Goods is going to be really loose format, and Drew just happens to be a yo-yo player, so we have a lot of good talking points to go from with him. And first, I just kind of want to start with how you started yo-yoing, because I know personally it's a really interesting story. I don't think anyone watching this is going to be aware of the story, and I know Brandon definitely is not aware of the story. And it's going to introduce some very interesting concepts to Brandon about early internet, social media, and interaction. So Drew, take it away.
It was definitely a super early internet kind of thing, because a lot of it was built over AOL and Messenger. Basically, before I was into yo-yoing, I was in this weird songwriting community called Songfight, which was pretty tight. It was a bunch of internet musicians on a forum in IRC who would write a song every week. Based on
IRC is like a chat room.
Yeah, IRC is pre-text, pre-IM, global chat.
It's like a long form, people typing back and forth, and then it has their screen name to the left of what they're going.
So it's like the Wild Wild West.
It was the Wild Wild
Yeah,
West.
it was like 2003, 2004, 2002 maybe?
Yeah, it was
Or 2001?
Yeah, it was probably 2001 through 2004 in there.
Man.
Okay.
And anyway, so while I was there, I had this goofy rap project that I really don't want to talk about, because it was a rap project by a 15-year-old. So I really
That's
don't
still
wanna talk
amazing
about
though.
it. But it was, what you would expect out of that.
But as a 15-year-old white kid from Silver
Oh
Spring,
my God.
that's amazing. I know. That's amazing though. So continue.
But another guy in that community who was into that rap project named Poncho, who is now a bodybuilder living in New York City, which is pretty crazy. So
Why have we never hung out with him in New York? Does he not want to hang with us?
No, he's cool. You should. I mean, he's not super connected to the yoga community.
Yeah, he
anymore,
never
but-
was, I feel like.
Mhm. But yeah, if you're ever in I guess I don't know what part of Brooklyn he lives in now, or not Brooklyn, New York. I don't think it's Brooklyn. But yeah, he's. If you're ever in
Poncho
New
was
York,
always an interesting guy.
He's definitely an interesting guy. He's familiar
a
with
really
it.
big fro.
Yeah,
red
at
hair.
the time that we knew him, he was a 16-year-old with this huge. He's half white, half Mexican, and he has huge red curly
I didn't know he
hair.
was Mexican, so he's like a Louis C.K. He's a redhead
Yeah, he's a little
Mexican.
bit of a Louis
Okay.
C.K. / Boyd Sath redhead Mexican,
Wow.
but with afro hair. But now he's he has a super close cropped and a mustache. He's jacked.
So it's like Carrot Top kind of?
No. Thank God it's not a carrot top situation. But still kind of a bulky ginger, so I guess it's not a carrot top situation. But I get what you're
Which
saying.
sounds cool. I have respect for anyone that works on their body, because I don't.
Yeah, so
Like,
good
you
for him.
gotta once you start, you gotta stick to it. Because
Yeah.
if you don't, it just goes away.
Yeah, so good for him. At the time, he was a little tiny, wiry, 15-year-old.
I just remember the way he would yo-yo, like
Mhm.
inertia would carry through his body, because like he would do like yo-yo a lot with his shoulders, and like because his hair was so like free with the wind and he was so
Free
yeah,
with the wind.
inertia would carry through his body. I mean, it'd be yo like his whole body. It looked like one of those wacky arm flailing inflatable tube mans. Like he had style somehow. Like he pulled it off, but it was just mad funny because I would just look at him and be like, "Oh shit!"
So, like,
who's this guy.
What were your like first tricks?
Well, like, so the early internet being as it was, basically we met each other through that, like, way along.
Through song fight.
Yeah, through Songfight.
Okay.
3 non sequiturs ago. And then he sent me a clip from Sector Y. Have you heard about Sector Y?
Yeah, I've actually heard about that. Yeah.
That was Gabe Lozano's clip video site, it was hosted on the yoyoing.com servers, right?
Yeah.
And he had like written out a bunch of tutorials, and he hosted a video by Takeshi Kamasato, like the coolest, best dude. It was called Welcome to Naptown. It was him and Kyle Pearson from Indianapolis, just doing a bunch of crazy tricks to
What song was that?
it was like DJ Kentaro? No,
DJ Kentaro.
it wasn't DJ Kentaro. He's pretty sick though.
It was an interesting song. But...
Yeah, it was called Candle Chant. Was it DJ Shadow? Anyways, whatever it was Welcome to Naptown. It was very sick. I had no idea what extreme yo-yoing was, as he called it.
Extreme yo-yo.
It was
Is that
like
what Takeshi called it?
No, it was what Pancho called it to me as. It was like 2004, so
Yeah.
extreme was like still acceptable. To
So
be.
like extreme is like more than just don't walk the dog.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
okay.
And I was just like, oh my god, what? So that I definitely like went out to Target and bought like a Pro Fly and tried my best to like walk through steps on Sector Y, even the yo-yo would die. And you'd have to like kind of like, download the tricks and save them to your computer, then watch them over and over. His was all pre-YouTube.
Yeah.
So, yeah, pre-internet yo-yo was a pretty sick community. It was definitely different because like everyone would either like learn tricks at a contest or a club from each other, so you could kind of tell who learned from who, or you would just learn on the internet from Gabe, and everybody learned from Gabe, so everyone kind of did those tricks the same for a while. But
it's like how Andre Boulay was for me.
yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. It was interesting. What were you gonna say? I'm sorry.
I was gonna say the Dark Magic came out like a year into yo-yoing for me, and that was like it.
Wow.
That's still like definitely one of my top 5 yo-yos of all time.
Really?
Oh, I would definitely say so.
Yeah, Dark Magic is sick.
Yeah, it's
That was
fun.
one of my next questions. Was what were your favorite yo-yos at the time?
Yeah, Dark Magic.
For sure. So that was 2003 when the Dark Magic came out. Late.
I think it was
2003?
2004.
Okay.
I think it was 2004 or 2005 that it came out. I started in 2004, and I started basically the month that the Lynn Fury came out, the all plastic Hitman, so Johnny DeVia's thing. But I did not have that for a little bit. I had to like.
I love Living Furies.
Man, they
Wow.
were really good for the time. They really were, and they were only $12, which was amazing. But I had a Renegade, which now I actually like a lot more than Lynn Fury, because that's an all-time classic. Even though it's a little bit before my time, it's a Renegade.
Yeah, it's still. I don't think you necessarily need to be around during those times to really absorb what it is.
Mm-hmm. And I always wanted a Terragade. I never really had one, but I hope Terragades come back soon.
So that was like. So what were like the teams that you were looking up to, or like who were your favorite during that time? Or
Definitely Takeshi Kamasato was like the number one for like, because he was doing really good, like incredible clip videos with a lot of really cool suicides and stuff that were super cutting edge. But he also did the contest clip videos, which hopefully, I don't know, are contest clip videos still around?
Here and there. I mean, people, like, what people are doing because they actually make a big deal out of them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure, like, a lot of new players still do them, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Content is very weird now, where when we were younger, everyone, as soon as they made something, it was everywhere, and they tried to put it everywhere. And now a lot of people make stuff and just, like, post it on their personal page, or, like, which is fine, like, I understand, but, like, they don't post it on the BST, or there's not, like, back in the day how there was like a forum or somewhere. The BST kind of is like people think that's just for selling or like maybe a discussion and not like a promotional thing. Or Reddit is really like the only forum I can think. I mean, I know Yo-Yo Expert has a forum and like it's active, and I'm sure there's other forums that exist, but like back in the day, the forums for us were so heavy.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's different time. I mean,
yeah, I definitely want to talk
it's
about
just-
next.
So going back to firsts, what was your, I know on the topic of forums,
What was your first yo-yo forum, or what was your
Ooh.
what? Because my first forum was the Yo, which is it's
Yeah.
so funny that I was on the Yo first, like because I don't know, I'm just that kind of person. I feel like I'm like perceived as that guy in real life, even even though I'm not, and I don't know. Eventually, I moved on to yoyoing.com, but at first, yoyoing.com, the interface was super difficult to navigate. So very quickly, I was just like, "This is too much for me. Like, I'm going to the easy one."
Yeah, I was on Dave's Skill Toys.
I feel like so many random people I hear where that was their first forum. I don't know why. I wonder what drew people to that. Like,
I have no clue. I think it was literally just because Poncho was like, "This is the good one." And that's
Yeah.
where I bought
but like him, I wonder where he heard it from. You know,
I have no clue.
because you're not the first person I've heard that's made that correlation where it's like, yeah, Dave Skill Toys was my first forum. Were you even? Did you shop there very often? Or?
I did initially.
Huh.
I did eventually move to like Yo-Yo Guy and then Yo-Yo Nation, and now I mostly buy like Yo-Yo Expert. But
I feel bad. Dave hit me up to buy a set of Fruit Series first bases
yeah,
way back. I forget if I actually did or not. Or I think he found like 4 of them and then needed like a grapefruit but I didn't have anymore or something. Or I don't know. I'm sure he didn't come across one, but that was really tight because I was like, oh wow, like this guy who like is known for collecting this yo-yo that inspired the first base so much. Like he was a good.
yeah, that's pretty cool.
Did you ever post on any forums?
Nah.
Yeah.
It's like the only one that I really heard about was the Yo-Yo Expert forum,
Mm-hmm.
and that was only because I wanted like to get into buying and trading and
Yeah.
whatnot.
I wonder what was like the death of forums. I don't know.
Birth of social media, I think, like when people move to like Facebook groups more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even Facebook groups.
I think it's a different culture for sure.
Yeah, no, it's a definitely different culture. But I mean, like, I feel like that's even a newish phenomenon, is Facebook groups. I'm sure people have been doing them since the beginning, but or maybe it's just in yo-yoing they've become more popular in recent history. But I don't remember them being super popular forever. Maybe.
Yeah, it seems like there's a little bit of it still on Reddit. But Reddit seems much smaller than even the smaller forums back in the day. I mean, it's great.
I don't know. I really don't know what the forum numbers would have been like. I don't remember. I think we looked it up the other day. How many were on Reddit? Like 13 or 14,000 maybe?
Not bad.
There was
Not
more.
bad.
I don't know. Let me check real quick. 'Cause
Yeah.
It's on my bookmark tabs. 20,000.
Not bad.
20,200.
Mm-hmm.
At any given time, like right now, there's 64 active people.
Oh, that's
online.
pretty
Wow.
good then.
So like,
Not
yeah.
bad.
I mean, but still, like every time someone says that an analytic in yo-yoing is big, immediately in my mind I'm like, there's literally 7 billion people in the world, 6 billion people in the world. It's like,
I don't know. It's just like it's different to expect that many people to be talking about yo-yo, and we're like,
At once, yeah.
yeah.
yeah, when everyone's initial reaction is like, oh wow, people still do that?
Exactly.
And it's like, yeah, it's kind of my job is to raise awareness.
For real.
Our Trick Circle is a pretty active hashtag on Instagram, right? That I don't think that's kind of supplanted forums at all, but at least like that definitely seems like a big part of.
Communal aspect.
Yeah, I think it's an extension of forums, but also a big part of the death of clip videos, for better or worse.
Yeah,
I mean, I like both. I think they're two very different things, but
definitely a different medium.
yeah, and if you can get in like a 20-second burst versus, having to download a 64 megabyte like movie file from Buko to see like 2 new tricks. I mean, that was sick, but it's also awesome to see anybody you want anywhere in the world doing whatever you want.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah, when everyone was over for nationals, I showed everyone Mickey's house.
Yeah, Mickey House. Yeah, welcome to Mickey House.
But Brandon, like no one had ever seen it. We must have replayed it. We seriously watched it 100 times.
Yeah. It's a good ass video.
And then especially number 3 where he goes off. He does all 5 styles in a single video. This man goes and gets a pizza, has his own plate at the restaurant.
Oh
like
my goodness, the parents had the same
Oh,
shirt
yeah.
on. Like
his whole family
his
got
whole
their
family was
kid.
yo-yoing. Like
the parents did the tricks with him, right?
his
Is that
whole
the one?
room was
Whole family,
yo-yos.
yeah.
Yo-yos and trophies.
She got the whole room, and then at the end, he wakes. His mom calls him over and goes, "Nikki, it's time to wake up." He wakes up and goes, "I'll see you. I have to go to work." And he grabs 100 speakers and then walks out of the room. It's like, damn, he's shitting on everyone right now.
Bro.
He's still shitting on everyone.
I'm so surprised to see that, yo. I'm like, yo, this exists?
Mhm.
Oh
It
my
was
goodness.
so good.
Yeah, Mickey House was an amazing series.
Oh,
And
the
If
it-
you
computer.
haven't seen Mickey's house,
The computer.
Mhm.
Oh,
the computer where he's watching himself on the computer. He's like, everything about it is so good. Like,
oh my goodness.
I forget. Yeah, like we
That's
watched
like
the whole
ultimate,
thing.
like his family backed it, like they're
Yeah.
like committed to this yo-yo.
We like dissected it layer by layer. Like, damn, this
Oh,
is
my
so
goodness.
next level. Like
How many parts are still on YouTube?
3, all 3. We watched all. We watched number. Which one does it say? Welcome to Mickey House. Is that number 3? I forget.
I think he
it's-
says that on the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the first 2 videos are really good, but there's not as much like memorable
Yeah.
content that happens in them. Number 3 is just it
That's the one where it
slaps all the way
goes
through.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the tricks are really good.
Mm-hmm.
His tricks in that video might be better than the tricks he's done lately. I'm sorry, Mickey, but they might, like if you watch it,
They were incredible.
if you watch it, they were really good. Even
Yeah.
Bro,
yeah.
he did every style.
Mhm.
When I was like first getting into yo-yoing, I remember watching that and being like,
Oh,
so people have like
absolutely.
tricks they do off stage. Like, because Mickey doesn't do any of these tricks on stage. But like, wow, off stage he has like this insane chopsticks repeater and like a crazy grind triangle trick and like all these high risk tricks he would never do on stage. It was just like really crazy to see. Yeah.
Did you like what was your early start to contests and whatnot? Like, did you ever compete in anything?
I was never a big contest player.
Okay.
I do remember, just to keep talking about Mickey, the god Mickey. In summer of 2004 or 5, I definitely went and saw him with the Yo-Yo Jam team at the Smithsonian in DC, which was really sick.
This man did a demo in the Smithsonian Institute.
Yeah, Mickey did a demo there, and I met a young Jake Bullock there.
Wow. And yeah, he came all the way down. Wasn't that like in DC or Maryland? Somewhere?
Yeah. I think it was about an hour and a half for him.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, but it was
I
pretty
wonder how they
sick.
got that. And that was through Yo-Yo Jam?
Yeah. Mickey was. I think he was just staying with the team, and they were doing a bunch of demos on the East Coast before Worlds.
So it was called the Great Race, and it was kind of like
Oh yeah.
a gumball 3000. You know what that is?
Of Yo-Yo?
No, just of like
Oh,
old
in
white
general.
men that
Oh.
like, drive these like old cars that break down all the time.
Oh yeah, Gumball? Yeah, I've heard of that.
Well, like Gumball, they drive like Lambos and like cool cars, but this was like a bunch of guys driving like Model Ts or like across the country. So they would like constantly break down. Like I think AJ, like an old like yo-yo player that was on Yo-Yo Jam, I think he said they did like 3 of them or something, and they never made it to the end of one because every time the car would break down, you're supposed to drive the car and like
all
it's
the
a
way
cool
across,
show.
like,
I mean, maybe, I don't know. I couldn't imagine any of those cars making it that far across the country, you know what I mean? So, excuse me. But the cool part about the Great Race, though, is they would make these insane yo-yos for it. Like, special edition yo-yos.
Those were sick, yeah. I never had one, but they were very sick.
I had one. That was how I met Seth Peterson. I want to save the story for when Seth is on the show eventually, but God knows when the hell that's going to happen. So, when I first met Seth,
it's just like, go straight into
Yeah.
it.
I wanted this yo-yo. It was a Great Race Edition yo-yo that I was really into at the time. It was called the Spin Factor HG. And it was a Great Race Edition.
Yo-yo.
And
That was a great yo-yo.
it was white with like black marble in it. So like they would just like shave little like pieces of black plastic like in with like the bits of white plastic they were making the yo-yo. So there would be like weird swirls of black in it. And it was opaque, so it was like solid.
God, that was a great era in yo-yo aesthetics.
It was cool, but like I never ended up playing with it because I wanted it so much that when I got it, I was like afraid to play with it. And I had like 5 or 6 of these yo-yos that I was like, I don't really need to like mess this one
Was
up.
that
I wanna
Braille?
keep it. Yeah. I don't even remember what I eventually did with it. I probably traded it for some bullshit, but like when I hit Seth up, I sent him an instant message on AOL Instant Messenger, which was like our means of communication at the time. And I asked, like, he had posted it for sale, and I was telling him that, like, I had the money, but, like, I was waiting for my dad to pay child support so I could get the rest of the money. And then he was like, LOL. Yeah, I'll save it for you. And then he didn't ship it for like 6 months, but then he came to Delaware to a contest, so he just gave it to me in person. I was like, oh, sick, man. And then we've been best friends for 15 years ever since. Seth was definitely like off that, probably one of my best friends though.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. But so forums, we covered forums. And then
Your team though.
the team
Like how did you get
I was on
onto
Duncan.
Yeah.
Oh, let's talk about that later.
Yeah.
I just want to keep it a little bit chronological.
Oh, okay.
I feel like there's a lot of stuff that kind of like
Yeah.
precedes Duncan. And did you final at Worlds before you were on Duncan or no?
Yeah.
I think you
yeah,
final
I
in
did.
AAA once or
Oh
whatever.
wow.
I didn't have that as a note.
So that was your
That's fine.
that was your preferred like style of play?
Yeah.
Triple A.
yeah.
Triple-A. Wow.
I don't. That's how I came into the game, so to speak. So, yeah. So that was, you said you started going 2003, 2004.
Mhm.
And then when was the Sweet Touch? So the Sweet Touch was a video you did, which, I mean, like videos at the time were a lot more emphasis was just put on the production of them. It's a lot easier to make a nice video now just because the quality of everything is
Yeah.
like nicer. You can film an HD video with your iPhone.
Yeah.
Did you film that on an SD card?
I filmed it on mini DV tape.
Yeah, okay.
So I
That's
was,
hilarious. I filmed a lot of my first area videos on mini DV tape.
Yeah. I think I was definitely like lucky just because I had access to a mini DV
Yeah.
camera. It's like
Because even the wire to transfer the footage from the DV tape from your camera to the computer was like $30, $40 for a
you
Firewire.
had to like do it live. You had to capture it live. You couldn't just like download a card or whatever.
You had to play the tape from the beginning. So hopefully the tape is in good condition and it doesn't
Yeah.
get messed up in the middle. And
Man.
hopefully you're not a broke kid that records over tapes 100 times like I did.
Oh, I definitely used only like 2 tapes for
Ever.
all of my yo-yo videos.
That's crazy.
But I mean, you're recording, like 4 minutes at a time.
Yo, people watching this are gonna think we're so old because it's
Yeah.
like they probably like their first cell phone was probably like an iPhone. And it's
That's
like,
crazy.
to think that like I recorded a yo-yo video on a physical tape and then I had to like transfer it to my
over.
computer. Yeah, it's crazy, but
It was a good discipline because it made you like practice your tricks. Theoretically, I did a lot of stuff the first time I ever hit it was just like on camera and I was like, sweet, never have to do that again.
Man.
But that's, I don't know. That's just always been kind of my yo-yo philosophy.
it's not a bad philosophy though. I mean, I used to do that with a lot of studio sessions tricks and the Calibro tricks aren't nearly what yours are, but like
No, I mean,
it's a good like yo-yoing is so turn and burn that it's like the stuff that's gonna stick is going to stick for sure.
yeah. And I think like studio sessions is a good example because when you're with other players and you're talking about stuff, you're going to be like, oh, what if I did this? And then you're going to hit it and that's going to be like, oh, sweet. Well, that's done.
Yeah.
But like,
There would be tricks every time it came to it. What were you gonna say? I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say like, 2 years later you might come back to that. Like, oh, that thing was amazing. And you can do something with it.
Yeah, for sure.
Or some kid you don't know in Japan's going to take it and do something insane with
Yeah.
it. And you're going to be like, oh, that's my trick. Oh, you can have that one. That one's yours now.
So yeah, like the Sweet Touch for me, I had just started yo-yoing when it came out. Again, like I had started yo-yoing when I was like a little kid, but just started like unresponsive yo-yoing and started going to yo-yo club regularly. And I just remember how epic I thought it was, but then the community reaction too, because it's very apparent when you first start yo-yoing how jaded a lot of people seem, or it's just like it's such a hipstery thing to do that people automatically want to downplay stuff, or it's like, oh, anything that's really good is trash, or like anything that's like liked by everyone universally, like some people are gonna think it's bad for absolutely no reason. So to see that you had like universal acclaim on something, and then I was so in love with the Duncan team, and you didn't throw Duncan the whole time, but like a lot of the time you did, and I was like, oh man. And I was such a nerdy kid that I was trying to learn all the styles and like be proficient in everything, so I don't think you did 2A in it, but you did 3A, 4A, 5A, 1A.
yeah, everything.
Did you do like some weird solo hum trick or something?
I didn't do solo hum.
Or like a
I
washing
didn't.
machine trick or maybe?
I got into the 9A a little bit later when Ryan
What?
Lai was doing it, but not in that
That's
video.
fine. Not in that video, but you still did 4 styles in that video, which is hilarious to me because like it's like how skateboarders now in a part will do like a lot of street, but they'll still skate transition. Like for a time that was like so rare. Like oh, a skateboarder has a transition trick in their part, and that was like also unique to me coming from skateboarding or like a world that was like so cut and paste to be like oh wow, this guy's like really mixing a lot of things that people ordinarily wouldn't do. So like it was very apparent to me, even as a person that hadn't developed an artistic taste yet or wasn't able to like describe that at all, I was like wow, this is like pretty awesome to me. So like how did you get inspired to make that video, or what do you remember? I know it was
No.
14 years ago now, but like what inspired you? And then also just a lot of the editing in it I feel was very
Well,
like not yo-yo like. Go
yeah,
ahead, I'm
well,
sorry.
we were all, we were all teenagers just doing stuff in iMovie on our little mini DV cameras. Like Miguel did, what was it? Manifest Destiny, that insane concept clip video with like a cursive soundtrack, which is like an insane thing for like a 16-year-old to make, or however old he was. But it was really sick when you're like, also a 16-year-old listening to cursive. It's like, oh, what? So I had like a lot of tricks I wanted to do, and I definitely like wanted to get on a team. Takeshi Kamasato again had hooked me up with some freehand zeros when I first started 3A, so that really encouraged me. But as we had already said, Andre Boulay is like the GOAT also for that era. So I was like, oh man, Yo-Yo Jam too. So it was like a pretty good mix of those two. The tricks, I just wanted to have some of everything, I guess you said. I don't know if it's the Mickey House thing again, where you just want to...
Mickey House influence.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to Mickey
Penetrates
House it.
generation after generation. It's going one to another.
What was that thing they did at Nationals? Oh, Iron Man, when you're like, you compete in all 5 styles, which...
What? I've never heard of that.
It was a thing they did at Nationals. I think it was only like 2 years, because it's like obviously Yoshi's gonna win it.
That's insane. I kind of do remember that now. Yeah, because it was only like Yoshi and Ryan White. I can really
basically
compete in all 5 divisions.
I think the last year that they did it, Connor Skolton did it as well, but it was still like 3 people. But it's like, not to be cynical, but it is like, well, it's nice because you get like 5 freestyle entry fees, but it's also like
15 minutes on stage. Could you imagine your 15 minutes on stage?
Yeah, it's like the judges are gonna be sick of you. You're gonna be sick of standing on stage, and it's like, does anyone really have 15 minutes?
No, you're trash.
And was like back then, like contests were normally held at like 3 minutes or 2 minutes.
3 minutes.
Always
for the
3
finals.
minutes.
It's 3 minutes at Worlds and Nationals now. But one year at Nationals, I did 1A, 4A, and 5A, and I finaled in all 3. Did terrible and everything.
Yeah.
And I did a prelims for all of them. It was a mess. Like I had to run around all day. Didn't have enough 4A yo-yos. Like the 4A yo-yo factory made at the time was like exploding on stage. So I had to like borrow yo-yos. It was a mess. Yeah. And then I ended up doing trash in 5A in a year that I like probably could have won if I really focused. And then like took me forever to bounce back. Cause like as soon as you start like falling down in the ranks, it's like, I don't know. It's hard to get back up to like that first place. Like judges for some reason, like, oh man, like it's not his year. It's weird. Like
I mean,
it took a long time even for Gentry. Like this year, finally, you know what I mean. It's a perfect example though of like for a long time, like oh I got 3rd. So like throughout the year, judges like automatically get on stage like oh 3rd place at Worlds, like all right, and then it's like they're already in their head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm curious, how did you have the foresight to think? Like, okay, I'm going to put all this work into this video, and everyone's going to watch it, and it's going to be good because I'm going to put a lot of work into it. And not a lot of people put that much production value into their videos back then, or tricks. And as a person, like, very young, you had, like, a very eclectic and, like, highbrow music taste, so I think those things are very easy to translate. Like, you can listen to what's on the radio and then equate that to, like, a yo-yo trick and be like, that's probably not going to be as interesting to people as something that I listen to, and I'm going to equate that to a yo-yo trick. So like your trick selection was very interesting and specific to the video. how did you have the foresight to do all that and then think, okay, someone in team management is going to see this and then be like, all right, cool, I'm going to get on this team. And I'm sure you knew who was managing Duncan then? Jack?
Yeah,
Right?
it was Jack at the time.
Okay, and then, but you like also were kind of like dipping into Yo-Yo Jam maybe
Yeah,
too?
I mean,
or,
like, yeah, I was just super into yo-yos at the time.
right.
And I was like both those teams. But then ultimately, yeah, I did go with Duncan, and that was super awesome. But for the video itself, I was like super inspired by Sector Y, Spencer Berry, all these people that were doing things that were not necessarily standard yo-yo clips, but clearly had a lot of thought, like multiple angles. Mikhail was like the only one doing that at the time.
Yeah.
And he would build 45-second long tricks on Spin Master 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
So I definitely was like, okay, I'm going to write down all the tricks I have. I want to, cover all my bases so that I look like I'm a versatile enough player to represent a team. Because it's good to try other styles, even if I'm never gonna compete in off string, because it's just a terrible idea.
I still remember the trick though. It's like a sick
Yeah,
double
it has a little
chopstick
chopstick
trick.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like.
Memorable.
But yeah, you want to show that you can kind of think outside the box. You can you're versatile, or at least willing to try new things. And then I also had I was super into this musician Doug Cheatwood, who did that song.
Which is a great song.
Yeah, it's an awesome song. I did actually have a 10-second section in there where it's an interlude that's basically just not harsh noise, but it is a very dissonant chord sequence that has nothing to do with the rest of the song.
Which part was that?
It's not in the video because it's
Oh, that happened in the song that you took out?
Yeah, because
Oh,
I
okay.
played it for Takeshi and was like, wow, this part was really intense.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, this is a little intense. So, the
Takeshi's such a good A&R.
Yeah, no, he was right. He was
Just
right.
gently guiding you in the right directions. Doesn't even tell you to take that part out. He just knows you're going to be like,
Yeah, he's
maybe I
like,
should
whoa.
take that.
Oh, that was crazy. I wasn't ready for that. Noted.
Got you. Duly noted.
Yeah, so
So,
the director's cut has I think it's a double chopsticks pull thing, like that Jason Lee thing, but twice. So it's not a banger, but it's that's what had to get cut to not terrify people who had their volume turned up. So I did have
it's
to make
funny to
some
hear that there was
artistic concessions.
Yeah, because normally yo-yo videos, you're struggling to find something to throw into the timeline in your video editor. Let me take up just a little more space.
I feel like a lot of good video edits, the best thing about them is that there's they know when to cut stuff.
Yeah.
I love the a good intro if it makes you actually connect with the players. But what was that Miguel and Array? That video was a minute and a half, and it was amazing.
Was that really that short?
It was maybe not a minute and a half.
I feel like the video is because wasn't it the entirety of that Go Team song?
I think it was definitely less than 3 minutes
Okay.
long. So
Alright.
it was a minute and a half or 2 minutes and 20
Yeah, that
seconds.
video is amazing. I
Mhm.
totally forgot the video. The coloring on that video is amazing.
Yeah, and all the
song is amazing.
All the tricks are 5 seconds long. Jesse's wearing Bape the whole time. It's just it's great.
Dang. When did that come out? 2005? 2006?
A little later. I want to say 7 or 8.
Was it that late?
Maybe not. I don't know.
Those series are kind of because Miguel took a long break.
He
and then
definitely
came back
still
hard.
had the polo with the shirt underneath.
Yeah.
It's indie era Miguel still.
I don't think maybe he had just graduated or right before he graduated,
Yeah.
so maybe it was 2005, 2006. I don't know. First year I was at Worlds, I met Miguel and I thought he was so cool and he was 20, so he wasn't even 21 yet. That's crazy. I think I've known Miguel for that long. But we're hanging out throwing 5A and I had final and he didn't and he was super bummed and I'm just this little kid I don't even remember what I said, but I'm sure I was I wasn't rubbing it in his face, but just super excited that I was gonna yo-yo on stage and stuff. And I could obviously tell he was bummed, but he was but whatever. I didn't really care. I've never cared about competing anyway. I'm oh yeah, me either. And then we're hanging out for another 5 or 6 minutes. He was super cool, and I was 15 or 14 maybe. So I must have been so annoying. And I just remember Tim Redmond coming off and dropping off a 30 pack right next to him being I'll see you later, Mickey. Like just walking off with 2 other 30 packs in his arms. And then Miguel looking at me and being like, yeah, well, see you later. Just like does a 180 and walks away. And then later in the weekend, he's like, oh man, like, yeah, I would have like invited you, but like, I think you're like 13, aren't you? I was like, yeah, I'm like 14 or however old I was. But he's like, oh, you want to get on Buzz On? I'm like, no, I'm okay.
Man, Buzz On.
At that contest, Markmont offered to get me on Buzz On. Miggy offered to get me on Buzz On. Then one other player that was on Buzz On offered also was like, oh, you want to get on Buzz On? And I was like, no, I'm good. That was hella funny.
There's a second one. Buzz On had literally every 3A player in the world except for like Hank and Shima.
Yeah.
And June and Maya. But you know, let's not split hairs. They had basically like 5 out of the 7 spots at Worlds.
And the following year at Worlds, they had 2 world champions.
Yeah.
In 2006.
Mm-hmm.
Because Paul won AAA and then Dana won 5A. And then next year they were basically gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that fucking insane? Could
That
you
is
imagine?
insane.
That could totally happen nowadays because like there's so many small yo-yo companies that just
That's
like
crazy.
any given day don't make yo-yos anymore. But like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's insane to think about. So they had 2 world champions in 1 year, and like the owner of the company wasn't even at Worlds or anything. Like he was pretty disconnected from the community, but it was still just like, dang, like you have these 2 players who were like obviously really good on your team, and I don't know. Well, when was your first World Yo-Yo contest? What year did you go the first time?
2005.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was definitely in Orlando then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did
Definitely in Orlando.
Did you compete or?
Oh wait, maybe I did. I think I did actually. Did I? I can't remember if it was then or 06. It might have been 06.
You definitely finaled in 06 because that was the year that
Mhm.
I finaled too, and you finaled that year also.
Nice. Okay, sweet. It was 06. Then 05, if I did compete, I blew it. And I would continue to blow it after 06. But it was all good.
Didn't you win a contest after 06 at some point?
I think
feel like
I think I won something once. I can't remember what it was though.
What was your region like? You
MAR.
MAR. I never won MAR.
Even AAA and MAR? I guess
Yeah,
you
I won AAA in
okay.
a couple things, so that's like so specific, especially in like 04 through 10. But it's okay. I won fixed axle champion of all the world a couple times at Worlds.
Of all the world.
Yeah, which is very
Equally
prestigious.
as impressive.
That's a pretty prestigious title. So the fixed axle contest, and what was it called? Wheel of Penalty. I won.
Damn, you won Wheel of Penalty.
I did. I won Wheel of Penalty.
What is that?
That's one title I'll never have either.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
penalty?
So, actually, I got invited to do it a couple times, so I never did it.
You
So
never did it?
no,
Oh man,
I was always competing, so I was trying to like stay A grade, you know.
that's fair.
But it was like an after hours thing at Worlds where, like, did Mark Hayward run it?
Yeah, Mark Hayward.
He ran it, or he just hosted?
He did both usually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was like kind of game show-esque. Like they would try to make it a game show, but it was all prestigious yo-yo players from around the world, like various people who may or may not speak English. Like people like Hironori would be a constant guest. They would always try to have every country that was a representative at Worlds, they would try to have one guest from at least.
Okay.
Or, you know, a good amount of them. Like they would probably have like 15 to 20 people on stage at a time. And then they would have like mini games. You'd spin a big wheel, and then whatever it landed on, you'd have to do, and it would be like Texas Cowboy with your pants down. Or I think one year there was some ridiculous game like pouring like everyone a glass of water while people are like throwing forward passes at you or something. Yeah. Like there's a bunch of random mini games. Like imagine like Mario Party, like Super Mario Party, but like yo-yo games.
Yeah.
So like it was fun and like risque at times, and like the people who hosted would use like PG-13 language, and like it was just cool at Worlds because everything. Yeah. They'd say ass, damn, hell.
Like one of the challenges was like potato counterweight. So it's
You have to
like
throw 5A with a potato.
Like
yeah,
a whole-
yeah.
yeah.
What?
So it's like, weighs a lot more than the yo-yo, and you have to but it's like a pro that's doing it, so they can at least kind of fake it.
Yeah.
But it's like,
So it'd be funny,
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
host, it's like a minute or a 30-second freestyle while the host kind of like makes fun of you, and then at the end they're like, "This guy's the winner, yeah."
It's just a fun thing in
Yeah.
Worlds that people would do after hours.
Mm-hmm. I don't remember what I won with, but that was a big title for me.
Do you have like a favorite memory from your first Worlds, or?
Oh man, wish I had a good answer. It was
A long time ago.
Yeah, it was a long time
14
ago.
years ago. So
And it was-
holy shit!
And it was definitely like super
Mine was a year
overwhelming.
later, so 13 years ago.
Just seeing everybody with all these like huge cases of
Oh,
yo-yos.
yeah. That's definitely what you notice your first World is like, wow, there's a guy playing 2A better than I'll ever play 2A,
Mhm.
like wearing a crazy outfit and like a bunch of stuff I've never seen before.
Oh yeah.
Because like it's such a big culture shock. Like
Definitely. Like,
you'd have to be really cool to be up on all the stuff that
Oh,
like was
absolutely.
around the time. What were you gonna say? I'm sorry.
just like, I don't know, like even now, like if you're secluded just to yourself and like you haven't been to a contest yet, once your first contest is just like
Mm-hmm.
crazy.
Yeah, for sure. It's a big eye opener.
Yeah.
No matter where it is, but like especially Worlds, it's like
Yeah.
you get exposed to so many cultures and so
Mhm.
many things that you ordinarily wouldn't be used to, or like you met like I don't. This never happened to me because I always went to like the most basic schools, but I would imagine it's like when an exchange student comes to school and it's like, oh, they have like the cool music they're up on, or like they're wearing Kappa in '98 or whatever. You know what I mean? Like something like really sick that like you weren't up on, or like it's just a different culture, and then
Yeah.
like you learn about it, and then it influences your life, and
Like being 17 and seeing AG wearing the Babe Shark hoodies,
oh yeah,
and then like 1 year later, the Clips and
yeah,
Lil
Lil
Jon
Wayne
wearing
and
them.
everyone wearing them, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
Lil Wayne.
crazy.
And you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I recognize that. It was definitely a culture shock.
Yeah.
And like a super awesome thing. I think anyone who gets to go to Worlds gets like kind of, like when else are you going to meet a guy from Iceland? Or,
It's like going to a big city for your first time
Mhm.
too, like where you just if you're really aware of like the fashion, or like if you know, like if you are able to like spot watches or even like levels of Rolexes, and you're like, oh, that guy's just rocking a Submariner, but that guy's got like a presidential one, like okay, like it just is a whole eye-opening experience. Like you learn so much, you're just exposed to so much so quickly. It's really cool. Like that was, I never thought about how influential like my first World was, but like, compiling this list of questions, I was just like trying to remember everything I could. Like, wow, this is pretty crazy. So
It's your first time being with people that like are obsessed with this thing as you are,
yeah,
and like who
absolutely.
understand the intricacies of this super weird like art hobby thing that you have.
Yeah,
I like know the difference between like a freehand and an imperial.
yeah. I guess because I had a yo-yo club too, that was like not less impressive to me, but like I was more like my first Worlds. This is gonna sound so like shisty, but I was like so opportunistic, or like just like I was talking about earlier, I wanted to meet Miguel, and like I was trying to like not only meet all my heroes, but like
just trying to make moves.
right, yeah, exactly. Like I didn't like think about like being sponsored really or anything, but I was just like, oh, like I want to be involved in this world as much as possible, and like I know this is the way to make it happen. So
Yeah, because you look up to these people. And
Yeah,
you're like,
absolutely.
I learned your tricks. I want to
right,
like,
more so that than anything.
Yeah. So you want to like, you want to kind of give back to them, even if that's just showing them like, I learned this trick from you. Like,
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Maybe not like your favorite memory then. Do you have like a most memorable part, or like just any like particularly thing that stands out to you?
I remember one thing, I just remember this recently, which was a lot of us who are not like that good at yo-yo, like American kids that couldn't do 2A, we all like took our shoes off and did shoe-A with them, and we were just, it was like your teenagers being super goofy.
Yeah.
And Doc came over and was like, wow, what are you guys doing? Oh, shoe-A. And he like thought it was, he thought it was just like goofy and funny, and he like kind of like made fun of me a little bit. But then like a month later, he sent me like a yo-yo holster that had shuei like embroidered on the side, and I was like, wow, I made it.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was super sick because like Doc like made a bunch of my favorite tricks, and we didn't really like connect with the contest, and I was obviously just being like a goofball.
Right. But it was impressionable enough to
Yeah,
him.
but Doc was like, oh, this kid has something good going on here with the shuei thing.
Did he send you a letter that said, "Hi, I'm Doc"? Reintroducing himself to you, even though he sent you a personalized yo-yo holster.
No, it was pretty cool. I think it was just.
I love you, Doc. Yeah, that's hella funny. No, that is super cool.
It was a pretty cool thing.
When someone you idolize so much, even just acknowledges you, I'm sure even him kind of making like cheeky comments about it was like, this is so cool that this guy's kind of like, if you're a sensitive kid, like, oh, he's bullying me or whatever.
Yeah, it wasn't like bullying.
No, it was just fun,
But it was definitely like, I learned how to do a gyroscopic flop, and you're like, and now you're making fun of me for waving my shoes around. Okay, I get it, I see it.
But it's still cool that like,
yeah,
you don't think that yo-yoing is as approachable as it is until something like that happens. Like the first time Brandon and I met was literally Spencer asked me one time, he's like, this kid that I hang out with all the time wants to like compete, but I don't know anything about competing. Can you talk to him? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And he's like, cool, we're gonna meet at this park. And I was like, to yo-yo? It's the East Coast in like the middle of June or like the end of June. Like, why would I want to go to like a park or whatever? And I like just show up like super lit in the middle of the day, and I'm like, hey, Spence, what's up? And I see Brad, I'm like, hey, and I'm like, this kid? Like, this is cool, but like, I didn't expect like this. Alright, cool, like, sweet. And like, he yo-yoed for me, it was really good, and I was like, how do you know this kid? Like, did you teach him all these tricks? And he was like, no, he just lives in Philly. And I was like, are there more people like him here? Like, more yo-yo players? And he was like, yeah, a couple, like, they're not as good as him. And I was like, oh. So, it is super cool when someone just acknowledges you for that first time.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's like a
Me
super
and Spencer
memorable
was
part.
like,
Spencer is
dang.
definitely
like, and I actually like liked his tricks at the time and everything with it. So meeting them, was like meeting a legend and everything.
Yeah.
It was like crazy.
Definitely.
And that can happen so quick in yo-yoing, especially when you're at Worlds and it's like, oh, there's all those guys.
all the people that you watch their videos
Right.
or watch their tutorials there. Like,
And even now, like, as an adult, I've, like, accomplished a lot in yo-yoing, but I still feel like a herb sometimes going up to someone I've never met before and being like, yo, I really fuck with your tricks. Or like, yo, I love your videos. Like, it's easy to send an Instagram message or make a comment, but especially when you see someone in person, it's like, when people come up and interrupt my conversations, it's like, I don't ever say anything, but it's like, yo, like, really, this is like such a social construct that you're just totally breaking apart right now. That like, why you gotta be like this? Why are you doing this right now? But I'll still answer their question. So I never want to do that to a person, or like I always put myself in their shoes and I'm trying to be empathic and like, oh, I would never, like, all right, cool, I'm just gonna let them be. I end up not making a comment to them. Trevor Boyce just made a really funny Facebook status about this too. Do you know him?
I don't know.
He posts like a ton of funny memes on Facebook.
Yeah,
he's on SF.
the meme king.
Maybe.
He's really good too. He
Is
does
he
like
like
some
a-
crazy figure eight combos.
Is it primarily like on like?
He's like a trick circle guy, like
Okay.
Instagram player. I'm sure he's done like a couple of videos, but where is he from? Somewhere in the Midwest.
I
I
don't
feel like
know.
Oklahoma or something like that. Or
Kansas
regardless,
City?
he's really good. I don't know if he competes or not. He's really good though. Does he play 5A, right?
I'm not sure. I've only seen his 1A and his memes.
He's
So-
really good at everything he does. He's a hilarious guy. Even his job is really cool. He works for like this band merch company. Like it's called Impact Merchandise. Okay, so he definitely lives in Nebraska then, because that's based in Omaha. I'm almost positive. So he lives in Nebraska then, yeah. But he's super good, and like he made a post on Facebook just like, there should be a redo Worlds the week after Worlds every year for the people who have social anxiety and don't want to say hi to people. That's such like a white kid yo-yo problem, you know what I mean? Being like, and when Brandon goes to like go skateboarding day, he'll go right up to Tori Pudwell, be be like, yo, what's up? Like, you're good as fuck, man. Like, I fuck with everything you do. And Tori will be like, damn, dude, thank you. Like, it means so much. Like, and Brandon will be like, let me film this line for you real quick. And then send Tori the video. And then I'm just like, damn, dude, like, I never had that much confidence. Like, I knew I was kind of good at yo-yoing, so all the people I approached at Worlds, it was like off the strength of other people being like, yo, this kid is good. It wasn't like me being a person of like, oh, I really like this person and what they do, and I don't know.
I don't know.
That's such a crazy concept to me.
You just treat them like I don't know.
Yeah,
the
like a
way
person.
Yeah, like
people,
yeah,
right.
like there's not much different from you. Like you just took a different path and like dedicated the time to something.
Yeah.
else. It's just like I can respect the dedication that you put into it. So I'm like, respect you
For
it.
sure, yeah. People really appreciate it, Brandon. They do. Tori Puddle appreciates it. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and yo-yo players are generally pretty approachable.
Right, everyone is. Like, that's the worst part, to have that type of fear about approaching someone, is it's like another person who's just like you. And like, that's why it's so whack when people don't want to be friends, or like, even if they are approachable or whatever, and it's like they're kind of standoffish, or like don't want to connect on that personal level. It's like, Jesus.
Yeah, it's just
I feel like it's like after that point you gotta like try to, cause you can, I don't know, for me, like you can see the kids that are like, wow, or like stand off to the side and watch people's tricks, and you're just like, maybe I should talk to him or something like that. Maybe he's like, I don't know.
So we're gonna move on to something, Brandon, that we're gonna have to fill you in a lot about, but this is gonna be like kind of a divergence. This is like right around the time you got on Duncan too, and I know this like kind of predates it, but like I wanted to talk about your Flickr account. And just like how you would post a lot of projects to that, and kind of how you treated it as like an early social media platform before that medium kind of really existed. And like you would do tutorials on it, you would post like finished projects, you would finish like works in progress. So like I just like elaborate on that a little bit, like your Flickr account and like how that. Because I mean, I'm like a huge nerd and would go back in everyone's history and kind of watched your progression of like. You were doing DIY stuff, but it was like a huge, like you could tell as soon as you started getting really involved in yo-yoing, like your influence and everything and skill just like broadened super wide, and the things you were into and the work you were doing. So
yeah, definitely the biggest influence for like Flickr, which as you said was a really good like early social media thing, because people just like before Facebook, Instagram, I guess like after Friendster, but we used Friendster.
Flickr was like a place to host photos.
Yeah,
I don't think you could host videos, could you?
Not at the time we were using it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I had an account, but I was like a Flickr poser. I like tried to do what everyone else was doing, and I'm like, oh, I'll take this food photo, and here's all these like random photos from the trips.
There's more like photo and nerds than like, I mean, I'm sure the hardware wasn't any more advanced than MySpace, but it was like, photo art nerd stuff, like kind of a gallery setup.
Yeah, because people could like, if you uploaded, some cameras are able to tag the photo, like whatever photo you're taking the camera on, it can tag that in the actual photo. So you'd upload it to Flickr and it would be like, oh, you're taking this on a Canon 5D or Canon EOS.
One of the first sites to use like metadata for tagging things. So it was
I
like
never knew
for
that. That's crazy.
yeah, a little bit. So like you could do the tagging. It was the same as just like WordPress, but because it was image based, it was kind of like hashtags.
That was definitely the first place I would like explore geographically, that sort of thing. Now on Instagram, it's not easy, but it's like you can instantly be like, oh, this person's Brazilian, and the next person you click they're Polish. But like on Flickr, you'd be like, oh, I'm on Sid's profile. Like, what else is going on in Rio de Janeiro right now on Flickr? Like, let me just check it out. Like,
yeah, I definitely got into Flickr because of Sonny Patrick, who used to run Anti-Yo, and now still does some yo-yos.
Co-founder of Anti-Yo.
Yeah, co-founder of Anti-Yo.
Designer of the Countach with one drop.
Yeah, that was a good one, yeah. But he definitely got me onto Flickr in the first place, where I did a couple of those DIY tutorials and like papercraft. I did a little papercraft version of Whip's Monster, Mongu, the little yo-yo guy, and Dave Poiser's Robot Friend. But then
both of which yo-yo players, Rodrigo Yokoda, YouTube him, Dave Poiser, also YouTube him. Both really awesome yo-yo players. So speaking of papercraft and Flickr, you did the Mega Man one. Which was that like your first big published thing? Or
that was probably, it It probably was, honestly.
Was that like in a tangible book?
It was,
like,
yeah.
That's so crazy. And you were like
cool.
18 or 19 maybe? Or...
I think I was just about to graduate, so 20.
So 20, okay.
Yeah, it was a good one.
So that was later, maybe? Or...
It was a little bit after Flickr, definitely.
Okay.
I don't think Instagram had started up yet.
Gotcha.
But definitely, like, collaborating with those yo-yo players through Flickr, and then Sunny, who had inspired me, gave me an SX70 Polaroid camera, which I bought.
The folding?
Yeah, it's the one that folds down. It's super sick.
I think they just retroed those. Did they remake those?
They may have. They should have.
I'm like so
'cause
disconnected.
It's a good
to
one.
that. I'm pretty sure they did, and they're like $200. And I'm like, Poiser has like a dozen of these on ice. I know. I'm gonna hit him up right now, but he probably got rid of them years ago.
Yeah, they're very cool cameras. It was,
Yeah.
and it was definitely, as you know, like an 18, 19-year-old to get like a weird film camera.
That's super sick.
Yeah, it was very like motivational. So that was like a really inspirational thing for me, because it was like a more permanent thing than the yo-yo forums for like things that were not necessarily super relevant to contest yo-yoing, like drilling out holes in a weird shape in a freehand too. It's like, well, gotta put this somewhere.
Oh, so you were in the mod scene and whatnot.
Kind of, but not like, I never made a yo-yo play better. But me and Jake Pollock got really into like putting stickers all over yo-yos, or like using a Dremel to not like to actually engrave it to have better response, but to like, you know, draw like a frog on the side of it or something. So it was like, it wasn't
so ill.
Yeah, it was cool because it was like no one was, you know, yo-yos already play as good as they need to play for anybody except for like the top, you know, 2%. So why mod a yo-yo to be just like a little bit better when you can make it a lot worse?
Those are the rules I live by.
Wow.
So just like, you know, like I think Ray Godfroy, who also coined Trick Circle, the hashtag, which is a fun fact. He
coined Trick Circle?
Yeah, he was the first person to use it.
Wow.
And use the hashtag.
And Gay Treasy.
And Gay Treasy. Yes. Gay Treasy. But he used like...
He was the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
He coined the hashtag.
Wow. Yeah. A lot of y'all are Ray's sons right now.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't even want y'all. That's the craziest part.
But he like crochet. He
That's
drilled
wild.
holes into I think a Fast 201 and just like wrapped yo-yo string around it, so it was like a crazy racquetball racket on the outside. But yeah, it was. I'm sure it didn't play better than it started. But it was like, you know, like where else are you gonna put this stuff? Like you'll put it on yoyoing.com and someone will be like, wow, it doesn't look. Looks bad. But you can send it to all your friends and be like, yo, this is actually, it's pretty sick. And everyone's like, yeah, I wouldn't have thought of that. That's wild.
That is wild. Shout out to Ray. I miss Ray.
Yeah, shout out Gay
Ray.
Treasy. So, yeah.
Go to JJ's for me and get a gargantuan.
Ah.
Even though you can't buy sandwiches there.
I'm not here.
It's okay. It's too long of an inside joke to explain. Alright. The other thing that I thought was really interesting that I didn't forget about, but I remembered, was the pair of dunks that you did.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just so funny to me how popular dunks are right now.
Mm-hmm.
And you did a DIY pair of like modified sneaker dunks literally in 2005, 2006.
Yeah. I mean,
And now they're like, but they're like coming around again as like a super hip sneaker, and everyone's like, oh, I'm gonna dip dye them and sweet dye them. I'm such a cool guy. I mean, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna forget what I was gonna say. That.
No, definitely. I was definitely not at all, you know. There was a lot of people making dunks at that time,
Right,
too.
yeah.
So it is pretty funny to see them come back around. But the Flickr community was awesome because I learned to do it just kind of by looking at a bunch of people, and then I just did this goofy little step-by-step tutorial of like, you know, cover the panel with masking tape, cut it out, cut the shape on the fabric and all that. But I also did a Duncan yo-yo, like the Duncan pill, in the CMY K print on a fabric. So it was like those on like a...
Oh, I forgot. Was it over the toe cap? Where was it?
It was on the inside panel, like under the swoosh.
Oh,
and then
that's
also
right.
on the back and the toe cap. So it was like the 3 spots.
And it was like some like clear neoprene or something over the top. Or
Yeah, I think it was like the light blue, like cornstalk yellow and white. It was some college team. I don't know why.
But what was the material that was over?
It was all leather.
Oh, okay. But
Yeah.
it was translucent?
The thing I
Because
printed.
you could. Oh.
I printed on like a fabric, like just an iron-on, and then I just cut it out of that from the masking tape.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
That's
so
so many steps.
it's easier than you think, actually. 'Cause
I
it's
know,
just
but like it's still
Mhm.
like compared to what you could do today, you're like, it's so probably the same thing, but it's like
Still taking time out of my day.
Yeah.
yeah. No, that's just so nice level. No wonder you got on Duncan. Holy cow.
He was trendset.
Well, yeah, and like Duncan at the time was just such a cool team that like
I mean, still though, like it's Duncan. Like I
Yeah.
mean, not but like from an outside.
I'm not saying they're not cool. I love Duncan. I love everything Duncan's doing. I just mean at the time it was like you had to do something like otherworldly like that in order
It
to
was
get
like
on.
very
Oh,
legendary
okay. So it was like a
group
prestigious thing.
It was a very
Like,
prestigious group.
yeah, you had to do some like weird highbrow art stuff that like people would be like, why is a yo-yo player doing this? Like, all right, you're on Duncan.
All right, here we go with the goods part 2. Our co-host Brandon had to take off, and we had to call tonight a little bit early last night, and then we had some camera malfunctions, so we're going to finish up the last half of this. You might hear some thunder and rain in the background. It just lightninged. It did lightning outside, so I was giving it a second, but there it is. You might hear spooky. You might hear some background noise, but we're gonna continue to get through the amazing history of my best friend Drew Tetz. So where we left off last time was talking about your Flickr account, and then eventually you made the Sweet Touch, and then you got on Duncan Crew.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about that. Talk about getting on Duncan Crew.
Yeah, it was really awesome getting to join the Duncan Crew because at the time, it's a super legendary team. Spencer Berry was on it, Steve Brown, Jason Lee, Takeshi Kawasato, all these people I really looked up to.
For sure.
And when Steve left, at that point, he hadn't put anyone on the American team in probably, I don't know, a year and a half at least. And then afterwards, Jack took over as the team manager, but they still didn't put anyone on until they put on me, Jeff Koons, and Juno. So it was cool because I felt like it was kind of like not a changing of the guard, but it felt like I was really getting to join this kind of like legendary squad of demonstrators.
But like a new wave.
Yeah,
you guys
definitely.
Were like the new shit. So
yeah, it was very cool.
Yeah, and that was like an interesting time in yo-yoing where Duncan was having a resurgence of coolness, and you were throwing freehand zeros at the time. I mean, you throw a little bit of everything when you're on Duncan or you're into Duncan. 'Cause it's like, throw every yo-yo at the time was kind of cool to fool around with, but freehand zeros are really the weapon of choice to like, have a solid competition yo-yo for the time 13 years ago.
Yeah, especially if you could get Takeshi to mod it for you. That was pretty much like 90% of the yo-yo community.
Did
had
you
one of
ever
those.
learn how to mod them yourself?
No, I did. Me and Jake Bullock around the same time kind of taught each other over AOL Instant Messenger how to like stick a freehand on a Dremel, like a $12 Dremel you get at Target, and then just like take the drill bit of the Dremel and use that to drill out their little ghetto silicone, which that was pretty cool. And then we would take the Dremel and do the outside of the yo-yo, so it would play like god awful, but it was cool, It was fun to mess up a bunch of plastic yo-yos.
Yeah, I definitely hand silicone on a Dremel for a long time till I got a lathe, and that was in my family's hallway apartment.
Yeah, you had it.
For years. Yeah, you visited. I forgot all about that. Yeah, you saw the little lathe setup in my hallway.
Yeah, we made a
oh my gosh,
a W-shaped yo-yo because the H shape had just come out, like a G5, and you were like, all right.
Danny did it. You and Danny really spearheaded this project.
But H was not enough. We thought we would cut the H and then we would mount these dark magic rings on it backwards, so it had two gaps and then the center gap.
Were you guys the first to make a bimetal with weight rings placed on the inside gap?
Well, I mean,
you
I
might
guess
have been. Did you beat the edge?
It could be.
Can we find a photo of this W-shaped yo-yo?
It was.
Is it in the train wreck video?
It is in the train wreck video.
Oh my gosh! Well,
So
I'll have to pull a clip of that up somewhere.
I can't imagine we were the first to be. Well, you know,
Dude, I really can't place it before then because the only people that made a bimetal before then were H-spin. It was just on the outer ring. So.
yeah. Well, you know, maybe the W shape was more influential than we thought it would be,
Yeah.
but it did not play very
We
good
did
at
a
the
lot
time.
that weekend.
Yeah.
I also I don't know. That was a really awesome weekend. I remember buying like that huge thing of jellies. Like just hella different flavors, and it was in a big bear, and I think that's what we just ate for most of the weekend.
And like 2 of the 1 foot fixie sticks.
Oh gosh.
And then when you woke up, you said, "What? My teeth," which is one of Takeshi's favorite stories about you.
Wow, my teeth. No, you told Takeshi the story.
Yeah, 'cause it was surreal. You ate a lot of candy at the time.
Yeah, dude, I had to fall back. Like, I went through waves where I was eating a lot of candy then. And then, like, when I first moved to Phoenix and was working for Yo-Yo Factory, I was eating hella fast food. So, like, if you look at any of my videos from, like, 2009 through 2011, I was, like, kind of chunky. Actually, maybe I was only chunky for, like, a year. Because, like, really quickly I got over it. Because, like, In-N-Out just put so much cheese all over everything. I was like, yeah, I can't keep doing so much cheese every day. I got to get over this. So... yeah, gained a bunch of weight, didn't eat candy for a while, then ate candy again hardcore, and like as I get older I can just like my teeth are like okay, but I know I'm like pushing it probably like
it's hard.
It's just like very on the edge. Like I know I'm like I can't do this anymore. Like I gotta watch what I'm putting in there. So
yeah, good for you and your teeth. There were warning signs early on.
Early on.
Yeah.
That was a fun weekend. So you get on Duncan.
Yeah.
And then, what was that again? 2006?
Yeah.
You get on Duncan?
I was on there for about 10 years in total. And I got to do, crazy.
Yeah.
Pretty good tenure. Definitely the, when they split up, I'm sure I would have gotten the cut, but I was like, awesome, this is great. I get to kind of like gracefully bow out because, you know, I had been on for 10 years at that point.
Yeah.
And there was all these awesome new kids, and I was getting crew kits every month. And
When was this? Like 2015 at that?
Yeah,
or 2014, I think, right?
I think
I was
it was
still working at Yo-Yo Factory, I'm pretty sure.
It was one of those years for sure. And, you know, it was hard because, you know, it did feel like a family to some extent, and I got to do so much awesome stuff with them. But I was like, yeah, you know, this is good.
Well, there were a lot of people. There's like 50 people in the crew. Right?
Oh, yeah, I can't imagine. And a
like
lot of
you
people...
said, everyone was probably still getting crew packs, so it's like, it's not like a ton of yo-yos for a huge company like Flambeau, but like it's just a lot for them to expend on a team that isn't really doing anything.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. You know, there's legends, you know, they took care of us pretty good, but it's fair to kind of want to rebuild.
Oh,
I definitely
I
felt no ill will personally.
But it was just interesting because
It
they
was
didn't tell
interesting.
anyone, right?
There was like they kind of like let us know on like the crew
I mean, there's
forum,
no
like
easy
there's
way
gonna
to
be
do
a
it. What are you supposed
restructuring.
to? I'm not saying that in like a negative way. It's just like I don't know. It's funny how many people have like texted me to quit recess, or like with Yo-Yo Factory, they just send Ben like a 1-sentence instant message or like a Facebook message like, "Oh, I'm leaving, bye," or just like, "Oh, I'm done, right, later."
Classy.
Like, jeez, okay, like, all right, later. But it was interesting to see the blowback from the crew all over the world, because like you said, it was like very family oriented, and all these people felt so closely associated, and then
it was tough for some
rug
people
got
for
ripped
sure.
out from underneath them. But that's what happens. I mean, like you said, they got to rebuild and move on, and like I don't know. I understand how they feel, but it's also like I don't know. Like after a while, when you're an adult, you just like I don't know what you expect to happen. It's like when you're in a one-sided relationship, it'd be like, well, okay, I guess I'm just gonna do this forever. It's like no, you're gonna get sick of it, or like something's got to give somewhere.
It's healthy for everybody because a lot of those people have gone on and done really awesome stuff. Like Takeshi's spin top video with Kuma got like. Sick, not that he was like one of the upset people, but you know, like he has still done another yo-yo with Duncan that's just coming out.
Is he on the team still? Not really.
He's not like a team member, but you know, he's definitely a
collaborative member.
Yeah, he's a big friend of the company and like, you know, an alumni of the crew. So he did the Exit 8, but also on his own independently, he did that He did that spin top video with Kuma Films that got like 16 billion views or something insane like that.
Yeah, I did numbers. I forget how many, but it was a lot.
Yeah,
I
it
knew
may
it
not
was
have
like
been
something asinine, like 60 million or something. It was
Yeah.
Facebook, but like still.
It was a lot. It was a lot of like. I mean, he's probably like who was more recognizable with a spin top.
With a spin top, no one.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. So, and then you started 44 RPM soon afterward with Hank.
Yeah. Hank and I go way back. We've been, friends forever, but also on Duncan Crew together, and we did like 2 tours, a couple of mini tours together. And basically, he won Worlds in AAA, and I had done all these little flat pack toys at Kendama and Yo-Yo. He was like, "Hey, I got a little bit of money from winning a contest. Occasionally that happens, and I want to buy a laser. So, all right, sweet. Let's make a toy company." At the time, excuse me. At the time, we were both still playing for Duncan, but because I had these designs ready to go and Hank had like warehouse space in Ohio, we were able to just run off like 150 of these weird little wood toys and package them in record sleeves that he screen printed. So it was like a very like top-down, super DIY toy thing. Definitely not a player as you would imagine from like something cut out of plywood. You could do like shoot the moon on the yo-yo.
Yeah, but it was supposed to just be like a fun toy. Like
And I think people got
coffee
it.
table piece that you can have there like on your desk or something.
Mhm.
Not like you're not supposed to go hard in the paint on it. But
Yeah, for sure. We definitely had a really good reaction to that. I think some people were a little surprised because, Hank is a world champion player and he has designed a couple really good yo-yos.
Yeah, that is interesting. But his first wide-scale release is this
that he
flat
did
pack
independently.
weird old yo-yo. Yeah,
Mhm.
you and I were just talking about that, how yo-yoing is in such an interesting place now, where you
Mhm.
can just be like a whatever company or someone who's kind of like brand new as far as like a manufacturer or whatever to the yo-yo scene and be like, oh, look at this slimline, high wall, super light yo-yo that I'm doing, and like 5 years ago that would have been really weird, and now it's just kind of like the norm. Or
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's very cool that people can just kind of make whatever they want, and there is a lot of companies that are like making more competition or community oriented yo-yos that do those more fun projects now.
Yeah.
Or they're taking more artistic liberties to do interesting stuff, so it's fun to see that you were such an early adopter of that too, and now other people are doing it. It's great. It's great.
It is really nice to see a lot of really creative shapes happening these days. I feel like there's always been waves of what's popular, and a lot of the times competition kind of moves it. But at a certain point, we've probably already made the best yo-yo. I mean, not really. It can always get better. But like what Shinobu, what Shinobu made on a lathe in like 06. Is that really much worse than like, something that costs $50 now?
Right.
And it's like, at the time, was anybody pushing the technology? So, why not make something that's like a shot glass or, an hourglass or, I don't know, soup spoon? Has anyone done a spoon or a soup yo-yo yet?
And you guys made a couple more yo-yos since then.
Yes, we did eventually. After we did, I think, 4 more of the flat pack releases, we did finally do a couple of high-end metal yo-yos, which were the Rhythm and Blues, which was really definitely passion projects for me and Hank both. His was kind of a workhorse, competition-oriented thing, but it was also like, the best Hank Freeman type metal yo-yo up to that point, and it was awesome. We got Rodrigo Yokota to do the artwork for both of them, so it was kind of like a Blue Note jazz record set. The Blues was like oversized and had wooden press-in rings, so it was a little bit less conventional, I guess. But yeah, they both did pretty well. Yeah, they were a lot of fun, and we got to do exactly what we wanted.
Right.
Not that Duncan wasn't great, Hank had a few great signatures with them. I almost had the Condor, and that was definitely an amiable split on that. But
there's something about making it on your own.
Yeah,
and like
doing it.
Do it 100% the way you want to do it, and it comes out really well. And like,
going exactly as weird as you want.
Yeah. It's always a nice feeling when a plan comes together.
Yeah, and we were definitely like pretty committed to that kind of jazz aesthetic at that point. Like Hank had screened almost everything on chipboard himself.
Okay, yeah.
We were like,
oh yeah, I didn't even think about that, but great point, yeah.
Yeah, and it was like me, Paul Escalar, and Whip were the only people who had done art for it so far. So it was like staying very in-house,
Right.
ex-Duncan people. So it was a cool thing. After that, we did also do the surf, which was like a more modern competition thing, but we broke out of the jazz a little bit to do some tiki graphics with Paul, which was awesome. We did a kendama with Takeshi called The Funk.
Oh, I forgot you guys made a kendama.
Yeah,
Holy
yeah.
cow.
Man, I wish we would have released it now, because Takeshi did a really good job on the shape. But it was like, it was a
When did
weird
that come
time.
out? Like 3 years ago?
Yeah, I want to say 3 years ago.
But that was just like when kendama was at its peak. The kendama companies were just like they were a little better at like scaling as far as like when they got really popular. It wasn't like how Yo-Yo would struggle to like fulfill demand. Like
yeah.
they just had everything ready to go, but like the shapes and whatnot struggled, and then it wasn't until like kendama was like at its peak and then plateaued and like starting to decline that all the kendama manufacturers are like, all right, finally we got like the latest stuff out and all the shapes are different, and like we made the hole bigger on the tama, and like everything is weighted now for lunars perfectly, and like it's even crazy to think about that. I've never thought about how you guys really did a custom shaped kendama before a lot of the major kendama manufacturers did.
I mean, they were definitely doing it, but like
but it
the
was
shapes
so subtle compared to your guys. That was like truly like some drastic changes
we
to
were
the Ken.
just like not trying to, we weren't worried at all about the JKA or whatever. We're like, people aren't going to put it in we don't have any contest players.
Right.
Takeshi was doing all these crazy like hammerhead shapes on his lathe, just like making kendamas from scratch and modding them. So we're like, okay, we're gonna do that for like the string trick or whatever. And he had something on the bass too. Overall though, it was just like we were trying to do with those like 70s muscle cars and like this Hawaiian funk kind of palette and stuff. So it was a super awesome collaboration with Takeshi, you know. Me and Hank and Takeshi working together post Duncan was like,
I've never thought about how it's like everything 44 RPM has done. It's been like ex Duncan Crew, but it was really cool to think about like how when bands like break apart and then do side projects with other band members and stuff, it's like a really cool correlation.
And to a certain extent, you know, Takeshi and I had worked with Duncan on The Groove, which was really cool of them. But it's like, you know, this way we have to pay for it ourselves, but we can do it exactly how we want to do it.
Yeah. So then not too long after, well, actually, it had been like, you did 44 RPM for like 2.5 years, and then you were finishing school, or maybe you weren't finishing school, but you started...
I was out of school, but Hank was moving to Prague. So he was like, hey man, you know, we bought this laser. So I'm moving to Europe. I can't bring the laser with me. Do you want to keep running it and try to like finish out these projects we're working on, or you know, just do you want to babysit a laser basically, which is not an opportunity you get a lot. So I was like, yes, definitely. I'm gonna try to like push this as far as I can. I'm gonna irresponsibly have a laser in my apartment and just vent it out the window. It was fine. I vented it good. Don't smoke damage your apartments, kids.
Oh my God.
If you can afford a laser. But I was trying to do like, you know, a lot of like super deep engraved portraits and like little weird flat pack things, jewelry and stuff. And I was like, oh, it would be super sick to do like wood grain animation. So I engraved like 120 frames of Takeshi doing like a kendama trick.
And that was just like kind of static on like a piece of wood or something.
And so I photographed it, lined all the frames up, and I was like, oh sweet,
you photographed it and then put it in like a GIF? Like, Jesus, Christmas tree.
Yeah, it was not, and it did not look that cool at all in the end.
Yeah, because
like,
the laser doesn't really detail it that well.
Well, so it was like pretty good on detail.
Okay.
Eventually I got it looking pretty good, but it was like, you know, it looked like a bad Photoshop filter over it. Because it's like literally like, you know, the grain is not going to line up at all. It's going to be just actual literal wood grain. So But I was like, well, I still have a laser. I still want to do a physical animation. I remember Rafael Matsunaga, ex-Duncan Crew, also had done a zoetrope mod on a freehand too, where he just stuck the little carousel on the inside, and you could look through it and see the logo like spinning around.
Oh wow! And it like animated on. You said it was in a freehand or something. In
Yeah,
a cap
yeah.
Or like.
Yeah, it was like
Wow.
like a cap, but coming out, this way,
Yeah.
cylinder, so you could look through the slits and see on the inside.
Huh. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's weird. Zoetropes are actually the very first animation format before like flipbooks, which just doesn't make any sense at all. It's way
Kinda
harder.
Backward, yeah.
Yeah, but it's pretty cool. And I was like, well,
it's really cool too that like you got that idea through yo-yoing to do this record thing, but continue. Sorry.
yeah. I was like, well, that looks way too small to do anything on a record with or on a yo-yo with, but I do have a turntable, and that will spin at a consistent speed. So I was like, well, a camera will do the same as the carousel thing because it breaks the frames up into 30 frames a second. So I'm just going to cut the animation into a wood disc and look at it through my phone and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And things just went from there. I've been doing...
So you lasered the wood disc, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first one you did?
Yeah.
And when was that? Like end of 2016?
I think April 2016.
April, okay, so pretty early. All right.
So it's about 3 years in now. And I've done about like 900 something of them.
Jeez.
Yeah. I mean, not all of them are commercial work or whatever,
Yeah,
but a lot of
yeah.
them are now, which is pretty sick.
That is really awesome, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you did that first wooden one, and then you started doing paper ones afterward, or like all different kinds of mediums eventually, but
well, eventually
just printing out some smaller ones, or
you can't keep a laser in your apartment forever, so I did eventually have to move it back to Ohio to live with Hank's parents. So shout out to our laser out there in Ohio. And I was like, oh wait, I can just print this out, and it's way cheaper and faster.
yeah.
And it's really backwards that I had to wait till I had to literally stop making them out of wood to realize I could just print it out on computer paper, but that's where I was.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you're really creative, sometimes
you
end
get
up
stuck in
working
a
backwards.
cycle.
Right, because you want to do the cool thing, and then you're like, oh, obviously people have printed them before or drawn them, so if I engrave it on wood, no one's done that, and it's like totally out of left field, even though it's way easier to do the other one, and like you said, inevitably it kind of looks better in a way, or like, I'm sure one day you'll find like the particular way that engraved wooden one will look best, but like, yeah, right now it's like, okay, the paper looks way better, like it's easier to print, it's cheaper, it's quicker,
just
like,
cheaper.
Yeah.
But I actually didn't, until like half a year after that, realize that I could just do it digitally and animate it that way. So I was still printing it out every time I wanted to check it. So I was still backwards for a long time. But, it makes you work harder. It's like learning to shoot on a film camera. It's like there's not really a point to it. It's just more expensive. So it makes you look harder at it.
Yeah. And I think every time that you level up creatively, you learn little things like that. And then you're like, oh, geez, I've literally, at first you're like, I've wasted so much time, or like, maybe you don't think about it in that way, but instantly you're like, well, it wasn't a waste. Like, I learned so much and like got so much experience and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, that was a lot of fun. So it was like totally worth it to do all of those, the wooden ones, or like any other format that you would have done before the paper one. So that's cool. And then some famous, like, I don't know, is he a designer or?
Yes, Steven
it?
Sagmeister was one of the first people who reposted me when I still had the laser. He was is a big designer and art director.
Okay. So he like owns a firm, or?
Yeah, Sagmeister and Walsh.
Okay.
So he's done a lot of really famous album covers and campaigns and stuff like that. And then also.
I didn't. Okay, so that's probably another reason he reposted. It's like, it's semi-music related, or like.
Yeah, the music relation helps a lot.
Yeah, I never even thought about that, because I'm sure, like, I don't know if he's ever directly recommended you for work, but it's like any people who work for a label and are like, what artwork are we gonna get for this? And they look at his page. It's like, oh, this guy's done a bunch of famous covers. Like, I wonder what he's inspired by, and then see your shit, and then go on your page. But like, so he reposts What one was it specifically that he reposted?
It was these wooden. I think the first one he did was these wooden drops. It looked like drops of water that just flew in and out.
Oh, right. But it was engraved, or
it was cut, so the drops were like actually long, and it was on top of a record, so it had kind of the contrast between the wood and the vinyl.
That's really cool.
Yeah, okay. I think that was probably what drew him to it more than like the paper stuff.
Yeah, for sure. But he reposted a couple things, or
yeah, a little later he did a couple other things.
Oh wow! So you posted multiple things. That's so sick. Did you like message him at all, or like, dude, thank you?
Yeah, I definitely. It was.
Can I have a job?
Yeah, I did apply at his firm twice. I haven't gotten in, so that's okay. I'll stick in my wheelhouse for now. I'm not really trying to move to New York City or Sweden anyways. But yeah, after working with, or getting that shout out from Sagmeister, I also got to work with Daedalus, who was actually someone I used to listen to as a teenager, but also the subject of one of my very first records. So getting to work with him on a music video where I did like 12 of them in a row.
Yeah.
Engraved the discs, sent them out to him.
Yeah, those are all engraved. I forgot how much engraved work you were doing at the time.
Yeah, it was heavy. It was like definitely a very heavy load. It was awesome to get to work with the laser, but I was definitely like going a little crazy. So,
yeah. It's a lot of engraving to do, and a lot of just watching. And I'm sure a couple of them get messed up or don't come out exactly the way you want them. Or
yeah, I threw away so much cool stuff.
There's so many lines you don't think about how it's going to match up with the grain in the wood, and then it looks bad. So, and then so you did Daedalus, and then that kind of happened simultaneously, or like maybe like right after Sagmeister posted you.
Yeah. Things took off really quick from there. Like within a year, I think I got to do another thing for L'Orange, another hip hop musician.
Who?
L'Orange. He's a producer. He's done stuff with like Jeremiah J as an album he has coming out with, and like Cool Keith.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You did like a label for his record.
I did a label for his record, and then a music video for him as well.
Yeah.
Some stuff for Space Face, Melodies Echo Chamber, and then
he worked with a lot of bands.
Yeah, a lot in a row, and it was all like word of mouth between them, which was cool.
Yeah.
And then over the past year, I've had some bigger stuff like Barney's, Valentino,
like all fashion houses, which is like crazy because they were all kind of music related projects, like in a tertiary way, but it wasn't like they were. Your work wasn't appealing to like this super highbrow fashion thing, so it's kind of really interesting that they were like, hey, like we're doing these music things, it would be cool if you did these animated mats for us. So you did the event for Barney's, and then
a couple of promo pieces for Valentino. This summer I did something for Vans that's coming out a little later.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't
that's
like
awesome.
Me for Vans, but I was helping with it. It'll be cool.
Awesome.
It's like a record collab. I won't talk about it. But
that's still sick though.
Yeah, it's gonna be
super on the radar
sick.
project of Vans.
It was a very cool email to get.
Yeah.
And Tenacious D and Santana. So
yeah, the Santana one already came out.
Yeah, Santana one came out.
And then you did one for the Sean Lennon Les
Claypool
project.
Les Claypool
That's
Delirium.
Insane.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That's so crazy. Because that's like such a literally 1 degree of separation away from like,
awesome. Like
one of the
and
most
John
culturally influential people in all of recorded history so far. That's pretty insane.
Yeah, it was
to say that you were able to do something like that.
Yeah, Sean was super cool to work with too. When he texted me the first time, he was like, "Hey man, this is Sean Lennon. I'm Jake's friend," and he gave me your number. Like, I wanted to talk to you sometime. I'm like, you don't have to say you're Jake's friend. Like,
I'm Jake's friend.
Like, yeah,
I just thought I should formally introduce myself.
It's like it was really nice, and he was like super humble. And
that's
cool
awesome.
and like a very good art director. So
he seems like he's a pretty reserved.
Yeah,
guy,
he was a cool
all
guy.
Things considered, which is awesome.
And like that label's been really good too. I got to do something for Temples, which is this British psychedelic band, and then what's her name from Brittany Howard from the Alabama Shakes.
Okay, yeah, you just did that one recently, right?
And then you did another country band, but
Yeah,
like a pretty
Midland.
notable country band.
Yeah, Midland. That one's coming out on Friday.
Midland. Another one? Haven't you already done a couple for them or no?
Their first album, I did like their music videos, like instead of animated lyric videos,
Yeah.
they just got 6 all the songs that weren't going to be singles or didn't have lyric videos already. They got me to do a little record.
Oh
animations
wow,
for.
that's so awesome.
It was really cool. That was a really good one.
And then did they win a Grammy or they were just nominated?
They were nominated for a Grammy and a CMA.
That's still
I don't think
so
they won
sick.
either. But they're a good band.
So yeah, I just think it's so amazing how you went from how long was it after you posted your first Zoetrope to when Sagmeister reposted it? Like
It
a
was
year or something like that?
Yeah, it was within a year. I think
Within a
it's in
year.
the first 6 months.
And then like right after he reposted, within 3 months of that, you were doing like labels for a lot of these people or like
Yeah.
music videos and like
Mhm.
you know, at first it's like Daedalus is awesome and like he's
Mhm.
great and we both like him, but he's not like getting nominated for a Grammy. So
Yeah,
it's like
it's different.
pretty amazing to like go from like, oh, I'm doing this still really cool project with
Mhm.
Daedalus and like one of your favorite artists to like
Mhm.
getting connected with an artist you never would have like in a
Mhm.
million years been like, oh, let me hit up this country band
Yeah.
to inquire about doing work with them, but like somehow through the grapevine they saw a
Mhm.
Daedalus video or they saw it on Stereo Gum or whoever reposted it.
Mhm.
It was like, oh, that's super dope. We should get this guy to do our
Mhm.
lyric videos. And then there's like even more work and like, you know, whenever people correlate yo-yoing to art, I think it's really important for people to think about their tricks like art and the way that
Mhm.
their tricks progress and the way that they yo-yo.
Mhm.
And I mean, we talked about this earlier in the show, but just how your yo-yoing has always changed. You've done so many different styles, and like even with art, like since the beginning of you doing your own projects and creating art as a teenager, however early you were creating it, like you've been doing different stuff constantly. And even with the Zoetrope, like you said, you've done near 1,000. It's been 3
Yeah,
years. That's
yeah.
like almost an average of one a day or something.
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
not 5 beats a day for 3 summers, but I'm working on it. And I think
Yeah.
I think it is like yo-yo tricks in that, like, you know, the more you do it, the more you're gonna figure out it's all gonna link together at some point.
Yeah.
Like if you know you're stuck in 1A, you can just play 5A and figure out something there, and it'll eventually come around.
Yeah.
Or you'll just have fun playing 5A, and that's fine.
It's just awesome how it's like all culminated into what you're doing now, but you know, all those things, like you said, you've learned and taken bits and pieces and are applying it to what you do now, and it's just really awesome. And then even deeper than that, like it's really nerdy, but like it all ties back to yo-yoing.
Yeah,
Like,
it does.
you wouldn't have seen this thing without
Oh,
knowing
definitely.
Raphael and like seeing his animated yo-yo and then being like, oh, let me do this. And then now it's like you've gotten all this work because of it, and like it's made your portfolio look amazing, and like you can say you've worked with all these prestigious clients, and it's just so crazy. I think about that's kind of all been directly through yo-yoing in a way. So
Yeah, I'm super grateful for yo-yoing. I mean, even just being able to be like, oh, you know, I had a friend in Japan when I was
Right,
17
yeah.
years old. I knew someone in Malaysia. It's like, you know, a lot of people don't get to leave their hometown until they're, you know, in their
Right.
20s. And it's like, I was really lucky to meet people and, you know,
Yeah.
Hungarians. Where else am I going to meet a Hungarian?
right, like luckily
you
your
know.
dad was
Yeah.
doing cool stuff, so like
Yeah.
you were able to do some other traveling and stuff. But like I totally could have been one of those guys without
Yeah,
yo-yoing
it's-
that like, oh, I went to the beach in New Jersey when I was 10 and like all these things, instead of being like, oh cool, like I went to Japan when I was 19 and like
Yeah.
been to like 20 countries and like I get to do all this cool stuff through this toy. Like it's just really amazing. So
And even just like, oh, I heard this song through Kota.
oh
It's
my
like,
gosh, yeah.
Yeah, no, I know this Japanese rap song. There's no way I would have heard this otherwise.
Right.
So that's cool stuff.
Yeah, yo-yoing, even just beyond what you learn with it and like what it does with your hand-eye coordination and blah blah blah, like the way that it broadens your horizons culturally and artistically and just everything is amazing. So
Yeah.
awesome. Well, Drew, do you have anything else you want to cover?
No, that was good. You know,
Covered a pretty extensive history. But
yeah, we talked about a lot. Play responsive, everybody. Play more responsive. It'll make
What's
you
the
better.
Fixed Axle Instagram account you help run?
Oh, yeah, Bandalores or Bandalores? I don't know which is. I think it's
I don't know,
Bandalores.
yeah.
Anyways, it's Bandolores with an E at the end. It was started by me and Ed, but Ed and Kyle Nations have done the majority of it.
Awesome.
And it's like a ton of super awesome fixed axle or modern responsive tricks you can learn in like an afternoon with like literally a butterfly from Toys R Us.
Yeah, it's kind of cool with responsive tricks where not that they're easy, but like.
But they could have been invented in like 1962.
Yeah,
like
but the approach is just way less intimidating than like, okay, I'm gonna learn this crazy long unresponsive combo. Just like, oh, it's gonna go up and down. I'm gonna redirect it this way, and like it's kind of slow and like just really lofty, and you don't have to be super pressed to do it.
Yeah, you never run out of spin.
Yeah.
You're like 3 times as likely to hit yourself in the face from like looping out.
You never run out of spin.
But you never run out of spin because it's never spinning, basically.
So follow Bandolores. Follow 44 RPM. Is that the handle? 44 RPM.
Support Hank Freeman.
Buy a oscillator. Is that the name of the name? Right? Oscillator available at Yo-Yo Expert and wherever finer yo-yos are sold. And follow Drew Tetz on Instagram.
Support Recess International.
Follow me.
Yeah. Get my mixtape. No, I think that's good.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's probably all I got too.
Well, thank you for having me on Goods.
Yeah, thank you for being our first guest. I hope that everyone enjoys this super long form nerdy yoga thing. That I think people will really enjoy it though, because I don't know, people really enjoy watching the tricks and are always thirsty for more yo-yo info. So I like that this is such a long form intake of yo-yo history, and like there's going to be a lot of things that have kids Googling and like, oh, who is this player history I've never heard of? Yeah, exactly. So it's a lot of people. So awesome. Thank you again for watching The Goods. Make sure you like and subscribe. Check out all the other content on the Recess channel, and we will see you next time.